turnout. This is tremendous. This is the excitement and momentum that we're seeing in this campaign everywhere. I want to thank you all for being here with us today. I'm Brian Kennedy. I'm the chairman, the Iowa chairman of Mitt Romney's presidential campaign. I'm from Bettendorf, Iowa, the other side of the state, and I want to assure you there's as much enthusiasm and excitement about winning back the White House in eastern Iowa as we have here in western Iowa. I have a few questions for you. Are you ready for new, strong leadership in the White House? Are you ready? Are you ready to end the finger pointing, the blame game, the excuses in the White House? Yes! Are you ready to put America back on track? Yes! Then you're in the right place, because you are in Iowa. And it all's going to come down to Iowa. Iowa's one of a handful of states that's literally going to decide who the next president of the United States is. So we're working very hard to put together a very strong campaign in Iowa. And it takes a few things to have a great campaign. You start with great leadership. And we've got Governor Branstad, Lieutenant Governor Reynolds, Senator Grassley, Congressman King, Congressman Latham, our leadership in the State House Representatives and State Senate, who are all working overtime to make sure that we carry this state for Mitt Romney and the Republican ticket. We've got some great leaders with us here today. State Representative Marianne Hanusa, who you met here just a moment ago. State Representative Mark Brandenburg. Mark, where are you? Over here. Oh, back here. Mark, thank you. Thank you. I know Representative Forrestal couldn't be with us today, but we certainly appreciate his leadership as well. Also want to recognize our county party leader, Jeff Jorgensen. Jeff, right here. Over here. And Naomi Lyon. Naomi? Terrific. Does so much work for the party, and we greatly appreciate that. So you have to have leadership in a great campaign. You have to have a message. And our message is crystal clear. It's about jobs and the economy, and we will stick to that no matter what the other side does to try changing the subject. It's about jobs and the economy. And we're offering a clear choice to the voters. A clear choice of Mitt Romney with a strong record of leadership on the economy and jobs. You know, when he was governor of Massachusetts, unemployment was lower than 5% and headed down. You saw the unemployment rates in the country after 3.5 years of Barack Obama. It's 8.2% and going up. It's going the wrong direction. We have to have strong leadership. Governor Romney balanced budgets, and he didn't have to raise taxes to do it. He knew how to cut spending and get the job done. That's a strong difference from what we see in the White House now. And he has private sector experience. He spent his career out in the business, in the real world, in the private sector, working in a business, creating jobs. He knows what it takes to get done. And that's a stark contrast to the Obama record of hostility towards job-making policies and towards job makers and favoring job-killing policies like excessive regulation, taxation, and fueling record deficit spending and schemes like Obamacare. We can't have that anymore. So we have our enthusiasm, we have our momentum, we have our leadership, we have our message, and we've got the right candidate in Mitt Romney. He's a leader. He's a new, strong leader for America. He's been a leader in the business sector. He's been a leader in public service, left that career in business to go save the Salt Lake City Olympics and make them one of the great Olympics that America ever hosted. He was a leader for the people of Massachusetts as well, and did a tremendous job as governor, and he's a leader of our party, and he's our party's nominee. But his most important thing is he's a great family man. And 5 sons, scores of grandkids. It's hard to keep track of how many. But tremendous family leader. So it's extreme pride that we welcome back to Iowa, we welcome back to Council Bluffs, the next president of the United States, Governor Mitt Romney.
Good to be back in Iowa and in Council Bluffs on such a beautiful day. This is extraordinary. What a wonderful day. And to see old friends. I've got some friends here that I've seen for a number of years. And we're going to finally have our way and get back to the White House thanks to you guys. Thank you so much. Now this morning, the President had a press conference. I don't know if you heard it. But he He called a press conference and pulled people in. He said a number of things, and one of the most interesting things he said was this. He said the private sector is doing fine. He said the private sector is doing fine. Is he really that out of touch? I think he's defining what it means to be detached and out of touch with the American people. Has there ever been an American president who is so far from reality as to believe in an America where 23 million Americans are out of work or stop looking for work or can only find part-time jobs and need full-time jobs, where the economy grew in the first quarter of the year at only 1.9%, where the median income in America has dropped by 10% over the last 4 years, where there have been record number of home foreclosures. For the President of the United States to stand up and say the private sector is doing fine is going to go down in history. It's an extraordinary miscalculation and misunderstanding by a president who's out of touch. And we're going to take back this country and get America working again. And his answer for economic vitality, by the way, was of course pushing aside the private sector, which he said is doing fine. Instead, he wants to add more to government. He wants another stimulus. He wants to hire more government workers. He says we need more firemen, more policemen, more teachers. Did he not get the message of Wisconsin? The American people did. It's time for us to American people. Now, he said something else pretty interesting the other night in a fundraising speech in Beverly Hills. He said, I keep a little checklist in my desk at the Oval Office. I've got a to-do list, he said. And every so often I take a look at it and I say, you know what? We're doing okay. Isn't that amazing? Again, I just these comments he's making just suggest someone who doesn't understand what's happening in the country he has been elected to lead. The people in Iowa saw his campaign launched here in Iowa. It was a campaign of hope and optimism. It was a campaign of getting America stronger again and cutting back on the deficit. How disappointed the people of Iowa have become over these last 3.5 years, and how committed we are to having real change that gets the American people back to work again and sees rising incomes again. I got a copy here of his to-do list from his desk. You see, I was able to sneak that out. And there are a few things that are missing. Missing is lead a real recovery. Missing is reduce the deficit. Missing is save Medicare and Social Security. Missing is help small business. Let me some things. There were some things on the list you take off. One was pass Obamacare. That one should have been there. Yeah. One was stall the development of coal, oil, and natural gas. One was our regulations on small business. And one was divide the American people. It's time to have a president who remembers that we are one nation under I will be. And I won't have to have a long to-do list in my drawer at the White House. My to-do list is written on my heart, and the first 3 entries are these. Jobs, jobs, and jobs. I'm going to go to work to get America working again. You see, I've traveled the country over the past couple of years and seen people of all walks of life, and these are tough times for a lot of people. People are having a hard time making ends meet in corners of our country. I was in Fort Myers, Florida, met a guy named Chris Davis. Chris Davis and his son traveled with me. He said that even though he has a job at the YMCA and is able to make his bank payments, the bank has decided to foreclose on his home. It's been a snafu to have their next baby on the very day I was with him. And he said, we wonder when we get home tonight whether we'll be able to go into our home or whether it's been locked up by the bank. This is just a tragedy in a country like this. And then, of course, I was with a college graduate in Philadelphia. She was graduating probably right about now. She said she wasn't able to find a job. So she's had to take on 3 part-time positions, and she said they're just barely enough to make it possible for her to pay for her rent and for her food, and she wonders how she's going to start paying back her student loans. You realize kids graduating from college this year can't find jobs. This is not a private sector that's doing just fine. Then I had the chance of being with a couple in Appleton, Wisconsin. They both work as salespeople. And they're very concerned about their future. They're about ready to retire. They're concerned they're going to lose their jobs. One is working in a very small business that they're not going to be able to afford him as a salesman anymore. The other one is working as a fragrance consultant, fragrance salesperson in a department store. She wonders whether the fragrance company can keep her hired. And so the challenge is their retirement, because they bought 2 duplexes. And they presumed that the sale of those duplexes would pay for their retirement. But now home values have dropped so much that they're not going to be able to have the income they expected. By the way, have you looked at the kind of return you're getting on your CDs, on your retirement account? Yeah, not so good. A lot of people who are in retirement, they wonder how they can make ends meet, and they wonder whether Social Security and Medicare are going to be there for coming generations. Look, this is an America that's uncertain right now and is concerned about the future. And the president's message in all this is, have you heard his campaign slogan? Forward. Forward. Forward over a cliff. And so he's looking around. He's trying to find someone to blame. He tries to blame President George W. Bush. That happened so long ago. People have forgotten that. He's trying to blame Congress. Congress was his with a supermajority for 2 years. He had his way with Congress, and what he did didn't produce the kind of results we're looking for. And so he's out of ideas, as he saw this morning. He's out of excuses. And in 2012, the people of Iowa are going to make sure we put him out of office. He's going to do his very best to see if he could take hope and change and turn it into hoping to change the subject. But I'll tell you, he's going to try and find any glimmer of hope. He's going to say, by the way, the recession ended and we've been growing. Well, yeah, all recessions end. And the growth hasn't been as much as it should have, and people aren't back to work yet. You ask yourself, is he part of the solution or part of the problem? Yeah, part of the, and you look at his policies and ask, did they help create jobs? Did Obamacare help create jobs in America? No! How about Dodd-Frank? Did that make it easier for small banks to make loans to small businesses? And then, of course, how about his energy policies? Did that get more energy in this country? How about deficits? Did that encourage businesses to grow and expand in America? No! How about higher taxes and regulations? Did that make it easier for the American people and for businesses to hire people? No, his policies did not get America to work. He instead focused on his liberal agenda, and the American people are suffering because of it. He just doesn't understand and appreciate the power of free enterprise, of free people pursuing their dreams. You do. I understand you do. I've had the fun of going across the country and seeing American people who are innovative, creative, whose ideas lift one another. I was in Las Vegas and met a woman who has a small business. She rents furniture to casinos and to conventioners that come to Las Vegas. She has these black Naugahyde sofas, and these black coffee tables, and she was afraid that with the collapse of the economy, her business would go out of business and her employees would lose their jobs. So she did something creative. She taught them how to make furniture, not just rent it. And now they make those sofas, and they make those coffee tables, and they sell them around the country. I met another entrepreneur. This is a woman who owns her own business. I said, how'd you get into business? She said, well, my husband lost his job, and he took a class in upholstering. And she said because she was kind of the better business mind in the family, she decided to start a business of her own, and she hired her husband as her first employee. And she's gone on to hire 39 other people who are upholsterers, and now she has an upholstery business. I met a guy, a Russian immigrant, named Alexis Lukianov. He had a back problem. looked at how we do surgery here, came up with an idea for a better way of fusing vertebra when people have back problems, and began a little business to teach doctors how to use his technology and buy his techniques. Now that little business is called Nuvasive. It employs 1,300 people. This is America. That kind of innovation, I think it flows from the very beginning of the country, when the founders of this country said in the Declaration of Independence that we were endowed by our Creator with our rights, not by the government. We're the sovereign of this country, not the government. And among those rights they described were life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. We would be free in this country to pursue happiness as we choose. And people with dreams, with freedom, economic freedom, have helped build America. And this president is trying to substitute government for freedom, and it will not work, and we will stop it. I trust the American people. I have confidence in the ingenuity of the American people. He has confidence in boards and commissions and appointees and czars. He's substituting freedom and entrepreneurship and innovation with federal mandates and waivers and tax credits and guidelines and grants and guarantees. He's putting companies like Solyndra ahead of the free enterprises of the American people. It's time in this country to realize what it is that makes America great, and it is the freedom of American people who have dreams, who are not jealous and envious of others, who celebrate success and don't divide themselves from others based upon that. I saw Marco Rubio the other day. We were together at a rally. He said something that will stay with me a long time. He said, you know what? He said, when I was a boy and living poor in this country with my family, we saw some other homes, great big homes and fancy cars. He said, I never heard my parents say, why can't we have some of what they have? Instead, my parents said, aren't we lucky to live in a country where with education and hard work, there's a shot we have of earning that ourselves. That's the nature of America. We're a land of opportunity. And so we're at a crossroads in this country. We're going to have to decide if we want to become Europe, with big government taking a larger and larger share of our economy and telling us how to live our lives. If I'm the President of the United States, we're going to stop this out-of-control spending, this prairie fire of debt. We must stop it to preserve the future for our kids. If I'm the President, we're going to get rid of Obamacare and return health care responsibility. I happen to believe that rather than seeing dismal days ahead, where more Americans are thinking the future is dim for their kids, not bright, I happen to believe that the future is going to be extraordinarily brilliant and powerful, that America's economy is going to come rushing back, that you're going to see a resurgence of manufacturing and innovation in this country, and it's going to flow from policies that draw on the skills and capabilities of the American people, not on government. And I'm going to make sure that we get this underway by a number of things. One, making sure we tame these deficits and rein in the size of government. And number two, we take advantage of our energy. I want to develop our oil and our coal and our natural gas. There are bright days ahead. There are terrific days ahead. I have confidence in America. I love this country. I love America. I love the American experiment. I love what it proved to the world. I love the hope of the world that is resident in this country. I was able to join on a day almost like this in San Diego, Memorial Day. And it was warm. And it was sunny. And I had the chance of seeing a number of veterans there, as well as members of our armed forces today. I introduced 3 members of our veterans team that were there from the Second World War. One of whom in particular I recall, he was a lookout on the USS Tennessee on the day of D-Day. Excuse me, on that day of Pearl Harbor. And he said he looked into the eyes of a pilot flying an aircraft carrying armament that would come attack his ship. Locked eyes with him. And he was injured in the attack at Pearl Harbor. He went on, however, to serve for 33 years in the United States Navy. and I had him stand and receive applause from the audience. But you know, I noticed as I saw these men and women who had served in that great war, men and women of the greatest generation, that they're getting older. And there aren't as many of them as there were in the past. And they can't hold the torch of freedom as high as they held it in the past because of their age and their dwindling numbers. It's time for us to seize that torch for this generation and this state and these people. And this is a torch. This is a torch of freedom and hope and opportunity. It's not America's torch, but it's America's duty and our honor to hold that torch aloft for the world. This is our time to lift it, to hold it high, to make sure that America remains the hope of the earth. We can do it. We can do it in November, on November 6th. I need your help.